Hello everyone, today I am playing with the new Simon Hurley ink and these wonderful shaped foams. Now these are great. There are 2 of each, so there's a total of 4 in a package. I am really loving this new stamp block. It makes it ideal for putting pressure down and getting a nice stamped image. I'm going to tell you how those work in a minute. These are the new ink colors from Simon Hurley. Now, he is known more for me for his bright and beautiful colors. However, with that being said, to round out his collection, I'm super excited that he released these neutral colors. I think that these were necessary, and I'm very excited that I now have them in my collection. These are what they look like on just a regular white tag. I always like to play with them a little bit first before I do a project so I know what I'm working with. That's a beautiful dark brown. And the other one is like a lovely, lovely neutral light, almost beigey brown. And then this one is like a charcoal type black. I do have the link to everything that I'm using listed down below, all the new products, I should say. If you're interested, just go check that out. But that's what those look like. That's what that looks like. And now I'm going to go ahead and just spray a little bit of water on. I like to do this just to softens it up and it makes it all blendable, blendy. Okay, so next up, I'm going to share with you 2 cards that I made with the new foam stamping blocks. And I'm using Wendy's card fronts on this. And these are pretty quick. First up, I took a stencil, ghost stencil, and I pressed it in. I did this off screen because in my new place, I don't have an outlet by my desk. So I have to do it in the kitchen. So I just heated up the stamping foam for about 10 seconds. And what I like about it is you can go ahead and put in, use your blender tools and blend in several different colors. Don't have to worry about working too quick on this because you're going to reactivate all of that ink by misting it with some water. So it works beautifully with Simon Hurley dye inks. So today I do have a Halloween theme going on. It just spoke to me. I'm like, I gotta do Halloween with this. Now, notice that I do wipe down my craft mat after I sprayed it because I don't want any residual water. Then I'm going to take and place that new stamping block on top of it and just give a nice even pressure through the whole thing. And then voila, there we go. So kind of a fun, spooky background. I am using that set for this, and I want to actually paint with the new ink. So I'm going to put this in my misting, and I'm going to stamp out that little mummy bear with some archival black ink. And the reason why I'm using archival ink is because it's water proof. So I can go ahead and use my dye inks as watercolor on it, and it's not going to smear or soften my edges at all, which is really great. And I wanted the mummy to look a little bit dirty, so I did a couple different colors on him, and it gives a nice representation of just what you can do with this new ink. So super cute. And I'm just cleaning off that stamp with a little bit of water. Like I said, it's waterproof, it's archival safe. I don't care if my stamps are stained as long as they do not transfer that ink over onto another project. So I do a quick wipe on it. If you are really concerned, you can get special stamp cleaners for archival ink, but I've never had a problem with it lifting when with a new project and I stamp it out. So I'm not that concerned with it, but if you are, then definitely make sure you clean it with a special stamp cleaner. For this one, I'm just using that new color again. And then I'm going to ink the edges. So I believe it's called Shady. And that's what I did, the sentiment. I just wanted to see how it stamped in general with like a detail word stamp. And it stamped beautifully. So to do this technique, you're going to want a paintbrush and a little bit of water. So I just literally tap that out slightly, add a little bit of water. And if it's too dark, you just add more water and you just keep loosening it up until you get to the color of your liking. And see, I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit too dark. So I'm just going through and picking up as much as I want. And then as I start to lay it out, I realize that I probably don't want the whole mummy to be that shade of gray. So I just pick up a couple of the little strips there, and I color that all in. I just paint it in with my paintbrush. I actually prefer using Simon Hurley's dye inks to paint with over any other watercolor medium, including the distress pens. I just like this better. I feel like I have more control with that paintbrush and I get more bang for my buck. And so I have the distress pens, the markers, they're fun, but this is my preference. And I can color match perfectly with this because I use Simon Hurley's line more than any of the other lines out there. So it just makes sense that I can use the paint on it. And as you can tell, I just used the Weeping Willow, and now I'm using this one to paint in the rest of my little mummy guy. And he ends up just being darling. I really like how the circle allowed for the focal point on this. So that I think is great. He has a couple different shape foams out there. He has one with a heart in it that's really cool, very similar to this. And then he has one that's like the perfect size to create on a card with a nice mat for A2 card front. So anyway, lots out there. I'm finishing this off with a little bit of liquid pearl, and boom, there he is. All right, next up, I'm using this stamp, and I basically heated up the little circle for about 10 seconds. And now I'm going to create a little bit of a background by adding some soft color there with a blending tool and just kind of blending it in. This is going to be more of a spooky Halloween card, and so I really wanted to get some of that lovely color down. Wanted to get a nice warm background down before I put that center point on. So for this one, I used that background stamped on my circle, and you're like, well, why would you do that? Why not just use the whole background stamp? First of all, I wanted it to be in a circle, and this is the best way. Plus, I also wanted there to be lots of color or blending on this, and it can't always be done as easily on a rubber stamp like it can on this. So that's why I opted to do the little circle with this. And now I'm just adding in some darker edges right along with that. And I just blend it on all through. I could stamp it directly. It's still pretty wet, but I do mist it just one squirt with the sprayer and pop it on. And then boom, I'm going to use that platform like that to make sure I get a nice image, and it turns out absolutely perfect. So for this one, I'm using that stamp set I used before, and I'm actually, the stamping on it's going to be pretty simple. I can't quite decide where I want to put that sentiment at first. I thought for sure it'd be at the bottom, but I end up at the top. For this one, I just tap it, like I think I tap it twice, 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to use the Simon Hurley ink to stamp the sentiment because I really want to play with it and see just how it stamps, and it's just beautiful. I really like this color a lot. I think it's a nice addition to his collection. Plus, he has 2 other colors that are, there's like a light brown and a light gray that I think will match beautifully with these, blend beautifully with these in his collection as well. So it was really a nice addition to his collection. And then just 3 little bats right there. And again, I just tap it out for some more crispness, and just to really make sure I'm saturating the ink right there. All right, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I certainly hope that you consider doing so if you enjoy content like this. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. I always love to read what you guys have for me. And I hope you enjoy this video. Until next time, I'm Bets Golden. Happy crafting.